Good morning, Paul and Bhargav. It's Tuesday, the 11th of April. Here's the heads up brief for today. For the Southeast Asia production, we covered 17 issues. North Asia, we covered 4 issues. And for the Australasia and Pacific Islands, we covered 7. In South Asia, we covered 16 issues, plus the major issues in Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
All right, thanks for your work over the weekend, guys, and good to have you back full on now with the post-Easter. Go ahead, Uday.
Right. In Indonesia, Paul, the commander of the Indonesian Armed Forces said that the search for the New Zealand pilot has been expanded to Yahuk Kimo and Puncak agencies in Papua. Now, this comes after authorities recently arrested one member of the West Papua National Liberation Army who was involved in the original kidnapping operation in Induga on the 7th of February. And also over the weekend, one Indonesian soldier was killed in a clash in Intan Jaya, while the TPNBP burnt down the region's office in Dohiai.
Okay, thanks very much. I mean, look, this is, 2 months now he's been kidnapped. I noticed that unconfirmed reports that came from a pretty good source that the police commander made an announcement that if we break it into English slang, basically said we're not going to expend our resources on one New Zealander's life. So that's of grave concern. Obviously, this is now indeed a military taking primacy on this operation. Police have shown their capacity and capability and attitude towards it. But it's also a big warning that if you're complacent about how you manage risk in these remote areas, or if you're just ignorant, we see a lot of people flying in from Sydney, London, New York, risk experts, and their way of dealing with Papua and Papua New Guinea and Timor-Leste is find the first guy that says they're an expert, give them all their work and be vulnerable to one provider. And often that provider actually doesn't know how to manage operational risk themselves. They're a guard provider, and they're very good at putting a square peg in a square hole, but not much else. This propensity to put guys on business and economic class flights, fly them to the other side of the world in a nice suit, have them walk in to familiarise and select a provider is everything that is bad about our sector. Where to be an expert, you just need to fool a fool, and there's a lot of fools there with big budgets. It's a grave concern to the family. I mean, we offered an upfront solution to this particular airline company, and we were basically told they got it all under control. Now it would appear not. And then, of course, they contact you going, can you work a miracle now that we were ignorant and didn't care about the life of our people or have any understanding operationally or psychologically of the effects? And as far as vicarious liability goes, we're not too concerned. Okay, back to you, mate.
Great. In Myanmar, thousands of people fled into Thailand following intense clashes with the Karen National Liberation Army and the Myanmar military in Cayenne State. A bomb apparently exploded on one of the border crossing bridges yesterday, causing some casualties, but further details have not been made available yet.
Yeah, great. Look, when you can have one of the team members just do a quick heat map on the border for where the people are flocking to, I'd like to see the exact area, okay?
Great, we'll do both. Moving over to the Philippines, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. yesterday said that he will not allow U.S. troops to use the bases that they have been permitted to deploy at for offensive attacks.
Yeah, it's not always easy to control America or to assume they're going to follow agreements or what a sovereign president states. I noticed also after Macron visited China, he was quick to state that France should be looking for neutrality and not be blindly follow America, but should stay neutral from the emerging power struggles between China and America. And I think we're going to see more countries, not only on the de-dollarization side, but on the reality of defence. I think more countries are going to try and find a neutral position. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, well, French President Emmanuel Macron specifically said that in relation to China and Taiwan, he said that Europe has strategic autonomy and should not be dragged into crises that are not their own in regards to your
That's right. Exactly right. Though it's convenient to ignore the fact that you've already been dragged into a very, very unavoidable war in the Ukraine. And so perhaps he's realising all that a little bit late after seeing the realities of what the conflict, everyone states Russia invaded, but they conveniently ignore the 9 years of history leading up to it and all the very clear statements. Everyone's got lost in Western media and the Western nations spin doctoring. But of grave concern is France and all the other European nations that are wearing a costly burden of supporting Ukraine in what I still believe is an unnecessary war, is of grave concern that they need to see such a disaster, like the nigh-on destruction of a country, before they say, hey, perhaps neutrality is good. I mean, going back to the problems of 2014 in Ukraine would have been a good time to start working out your position. Okay, thanks.
In South Asia, Pakistani security forces are conducting intense anti-crime and anti-terror operations in the borderlands regions of Punjab and Sindh. In the riverine areas here, there's a lot of criminality and terror activities.
The criminal elements and the cross-border smuggling acts are quite common and it's very well known. However, anti-terror is something which I wonder, are they targeting the wrong areas, especially now that the terror incidents are more common in the Khyber as well as Balochistan areas? It is very common for security forces in Pakistan to use India as a decoy, or rather as a securitizing agent, whenever there is a political instability within the country. So yes, anti-crime, possibly anti-terror. I think they're using it as a decoy.
Right. There's also a bit of a nexus between criminal and terror groups in some part of Pakistan. So they're possibly trying to see if there's overlaps in networks there. So
Possibly.
Moving over to India, authorities are reintroducing COVID guidelines following the surge of cases in some states. This includes wearing masks and in some cases work from home policies for people positive with COVID.
That's a major concern, especially for major cities like Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore, with higher concentration of population and very high density. I really wonder if government will be able to stifle it within a very short time frame. Delhi government specifically is known to be quite active in terms of social activities or medical activities for that matter. Hopefully they can stifle it. But other cities, especially Bangalore, we have seen dismal performance on part of the state government. So we'll have to keep a close eye how things evolve with the guidelines and the cases.
Will do. Also in India, yesterday, there were incidents of communal violence involving the majority Hindu communities and minority Muslim communities in Jharkhand, Uttar Pradesh, and in Haryana. Several people were injured in the incidents.
Come the election season, increase in the tensions as well. I see this as a byproduct of the same, and so-called quote unquote religious festivals do not really help the situation. So hopefully this will come under control before all the elections are done. I think the Karnataka elections are next month, so this will be brought under control.
Right. Lastly, in Europe, Russia claims to have taken control of 75% of Bakhmut city. This is as Ukraine accuses it of using a scorched earth policy.
All right.
Interestingly, sorry, Bhargav. Interestingly, it's been shown on a lot of the Western media that it's actually now formally has 75% of control over Bakhmut. So when the Western media admits that, I think we can take that nigh on fact. Okay.
I must agree with you there, Paul.
That's the brief for today. Anything else from you, Paul and Bhargav?
No, nothing else from me. Thank you very much. Good brief.
None from me either. Thank you.